Hi everyone, I am Kristen with Kristens Sweet Creations in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and I am going live today to talk about farmers markets. My top 10 do's and don'ts for farmers markets, what I learned last year. Last year was my first year doing farmers markets. I started my business in 2021, and as I just mentioned, last year my first year doing farmers markets. This year is I'm doing a repeat market, and I am doing another market that's new to me this year, but it's a well-established market. So we'll just jump right in, ask questions if you've got them as we go along. Number 10 I'm starting with is doing your research. Researching farmers markets is going to help you a lot. I started with researching the markets in my area because I was new to the area, and I lost my train of thought. So research is going to help you understand the rules, fees, things like that, because every market is going to be different. Like the repeat market I'm doing this year, it is the largest, or one of the largest open air markets in the Midwest. There are over 200 vendors at that market. And then the other one I'm doing this year is a smaller. There's about 30 to 40 vendors. So the rules are completely different for both. The larger one, there's a fee if you don't show up on top of the fee that you already paid to be in the market. And then the other one's more lenient. You just got to tell them you're not going to be able to make it. And research is going to tell you the size of the market. As I said, the number of vendors, and the number of people that attend the market. The larger one, we get about, I think they said last year was about 10,000 people every weekend. And then next up is number 9, and that's be weather aware, especially in the summertime. In Iowa, we've got some crazy weather. We've got severe thunderstorms, tornadoes, all kinds of things. So just be aware of what's coming up, because that's going to impact how busy the market is going to be, which then in turn impacts the amount of product you're going to make. If it's going to be rainy, not as many people are going to come out. And that's another thing that research is going to show you, is in the rules whether or not they hold the market rain or shine, what the call is for severe weather, how that's handled. So that's things just to kind of keep in mind. And in Iowa, so tomorrow is the first market of the season for the big market. So I already looked. It's going to be chilly in the morning, and then it warms up throughout the day, and that market goes from 7:30 in the morning until noon. So I got to start with the sweatshirt and just make sure I'm good to go. If you're going to have a tent there, I would also recommend investing in sidewalls for that tent, because if you've got rain coming down and it's coming in sideways, having those sidewalls will help keep your product safe, keep you dry, and if you pull the tables back, you can get customers in there and help keep them dry. Number 8 is stand out. This is a big one for me. I noticed at the farmers market last year, and noticed at the smaller market that's already started this year, a lot of vendors have white, blue, or red tents. So I stick out like a sore thumb with my pink tent, but it makes it easier to tell customers when I'm posting in social media and things like that. Just look for the big pink tent. And then I also have pink tablecloths, and I decorate with sprinkles. I just make sure I've got kind of everything to set myself apart from other people to kind of so people can keep an eye out for the different things. I also have a big sign, retractable sign that I just got from Vistaprint, so this will be my first time using it, but it's got my website, my name, and then in big bold letters it says Sweet Treats. Hi Jennifer, I see you asked where I got my pink tent. I got it from Amazon. After the live, I can come back into the comments and I can give you a link, or I can send you a link. Same with my pink tablecloths. I got those from Amazon, and I did learn, get the ones that kind of, I like the stretchy ones, but don't get the ones that attach to like the bottoms of the feet, because most markets you're on concrete and that's going to rub holes in it, and then the tablecloths I had last year only lasted for that season. And then the other thing to stand out is brand yourself. I make myself known as the Sprinkle Lady. I've got sprinkle shoes, I've got sprinkle glasses toppers, I make sure I'm wearing pink, I've got sprinkles everywhere. And then, like I said, standing out is just one of the bigger ones. More important. Number 7 is, don't freak out if there's other bakers there, other treat makers. There's enough market share for everyone. I know we're constantly promoting community over competition, and it's true. The other bakers there, they are going to have things that you don't have. They're going to be at a different price point. So there's market for everybody. And last year at the big market that I'm in just the one row I was in, there was myself and then a lotion person and then another cookie maker. And then there was a bar maker, and then there was someone with pastries and macarons. So, but we all still did great. So don't freak out. Don't get nervous, especially if it's a bigger market like the big one I'm in that's got over 200 vendors. There's no way I could be the only cookie maker. And even with the smaller market that I'm in that has the 40 vendors, there's myself, and I offer a variety of things. I am a gluten-free baker, so everything I make is gluten-free, but I offer like soft pretzels, breads, cookies, cupcakes, cake pops, things like that. But then there's someone who just offers macarons, there's a candy maker, there's someone with sweetbreads. So there's a little something for everyone, and if you get to know who the other bakers and treat makers are at the market, if someone comes to looking to you for something, you're able to point them into a direction if it's not something that you have. Next one, number 6, be prepared. I keep a kit, it's actually a rather large tote box, of things including my business cards, tape, battery pack, charging cables, carrying bags for customers when they purchase something. It's good to just have that. I have scissors, because you never know what you're going to need. Rope, bungee cords. You never know what you're going to need, so I always just make sure I have that. Next, number 5. This is the big one. This is what I learned last year. Samples. Samples are the way to go. Have a sample of something that you're having at market that day. I always offer some type of cookie bar, and so when I'm doing my cookie bar, I trim the edges and cut those up for samples. So like, I've got this bag here of my salted caramel chocolate chip cookie bars. I'm also offering artisan bread this year, so I've got some samples for people to try, and that usually ends up getting someone to purchase something, whether it's what they try to sample of or something else. I hardly ever have them just take the sample and walk away. It usually ends up buying something. And I have clear signage, and I announce that I've got samples. As people are walking by, I tell them, hey, you want to try a free sample? I've got this or this, and that'll get people coming by. And I just put them in little paper cups and have them set out, and I don't put everything out at once. I just, kind of restock throughout the day. Next is don't sit back. When you're putting together your tables in your tent, make sure your tables are as far front as possible. I know with the sunshine, that's gonna determine also where you kind of have your tables, but the closest you can be to the front of your tent, the better, because as people are walking by, if they can't see you, can't see what you have, they're more apt to walk on by and not stop. And at least I know that's how I am too. If I can't see what's going on, I'm going away. I'm walking away. And so I'm out there, I'm standing behind the table, I'm standing, smiling, interacting with people. And it's hard to do that when you're sitting all the way back and you've got your tables in the back, because all the people are going to hear is a voice. They're not going to see you, and they're looking around, looking like they're thinking they're crazy, which I personally don't like looking like that. But as I said, sunshine is going to also play an impact on where your table is. So if you're if your table is directly in the sun, of course, scooch it back, because we know sunshine is not good for all of our baked goods. I had stuff melting last week, and I was like, nope, time to pull it back. Number 3 is decorating your table and your booth. Always have some type of decoration. Make it stand out. Make it look nice. Like I said, I have the pink tablecloths, and then I have polka dotted table runners that kind of look like sprinkles. I also highly recommend having unique items, unique decor items. Like I have this gnome guy that my husband cut out using his laser engraver, and I painted it. So got the pink, got the sprinkles. He sits kind of front and center, so that gets some people coming in. And then he's also got a 3D printer, so he 3D printed a business card holder for me. It is broken. It broke last week. It made me very sad. He's got to fix it. But it's a cute little mixer. Pink, again, of course. And then I've got, the kids love this guy. He's a little 3D printed marshmallow guy with a squishy filament. So that gets kids coming in, looking, asking about him. And then I also have stickers out for kids. That gets their attention too, and it keeps them. Oh goodness, sorry, something just popped up. And I lost my train of thought again. Oh goodness. If you can't tell, I'm a little nervous. This is way out of my comfort zone. So I appreciate everyone sticking with me. And if you can hear the cat, I don't know why he's going crazy. Back to decorating the table and the booths. Stickers for kids. I have found that having the stickers out, as long as it's not a really windy day, will keep kids from grabbing at my cookies and grabbing at other products. They're more interested in grabbing at the stickers. They see the cookies and they want the cookies, but they're more apt to grab those stickers. So it's a great way to keep little fingers off of the cookies. Next one is another big one, is multiple forms of payment. I know a lot of people say they only take cash, or they'll take cash and card. I take cash, card, and Venmo or Cash App. It has increased my sales, I know. I've seen vendors at other markets, other vendor shows, things like that say, oh, I only take cash. And they're like, well, people are like, I don't carry cash. And I don't carry cash anymore, especially since I work from home for my full-time job. I never leave my house. Why do I need the cash? So I always forget to stop somewhere and bring cash with me. So I have a Square reader with the little dongle thing that it just attaches to my phone. Is that I have cash, and then I take Venmo and Cash App, and I have this engraved with my QR codes for both forms of payment. I just have this sitting on top of my display case with some of my items, so it's right at eye level. It works great. I have noticed with the Venmo there are some issues, especially with iPhone users. I don't know why. The app doesn't like it, and the iPhone camera does not like the QR codes. I don't know why. I haven't figured it out yet. I know it's a setting in their phone, nothing to do with the QR code, because it works for everybody else. Also, when you have cash, make sure you have a bank, aka have cash with you so you can make change. I stick with $150 between 5s and 1s, and at the end of every market I just count out that $150 again, stick it back in my cash drawer, and then set it aside. Don't even think about it. I don't even think that I have that money there. Also, with taking the forms of payment, since I use Square, I track all of my sales in Square, cash, Venmo. That way, the reporting at the end of the day, it's easier to have all that information in one spot, rather than trying to figure out, okay, I have this much in cash, and then going through all my Venmo transactions, and then going through the Square transactions and adding everything up. It's easier just to do it all through Square, or what other type of payment processor that you want to use. Most importantly, number one is have fun. It's a great way to meet people. It's a fantastic way to grow your customer base. This has been the biggest way I've grown my customer base. Like I said, I started in 2021, started with the hot cocoa bomb craze, and being gluten-free. I was like, well, I had to figure out how to bake stuff for myself, and it tasted good, and no one could tell the difference. So I started selling and offering to other people, and it was slow going. Sugar cookie marketing was amazing to help, and Cookie College has been even better. But between the Cookie College and farmers markets have been the biggest way I've grown my customer base. And it may not reflect in the number of likes or engagement on social media, but I noticed it in the number of orders coming through and the number of repeat customers I have coming to my markets. I've been seeing a lot more people coming through my markets, and then starting to follow me more on social media to see where I'm going to be at next. So that's another thing. I'm just going to keep adding things as I think of them. I haven't done it yet, but I was going to do it this week, and I've just gotten insanely busy. But post when you're going to be at markets, not just the day before, but my plan is to post one post that I'm going to pin at the top of my Facebook page that shows the dates of the markets that I'm going to be at and which markets. Hi, see, you've got a question about using a commercial kitchen. I am not using a commercial kitchen. I am a cottage home baker in the state of Iowa, and so in the state of Iowa, they're pretty good with their cottage food laws. I can sell just about anything that doesn't need to be refrigerated, and then of course there's labeling and all kinds of things, but yeah, not using a commercial kitchen. Another idea that I was planning on implementing this year, and I didn't get time to it for this market, but my plan is for the next market, big market, is to do a poll to see what kinds of things my customers want to see. what they would like to buy. And that's another thing, is I always take a pad of paper and some type of writing utensil, because last year I had people coming through and asking if I make these things or this thing, and if I had a number of people asking about a certain item, I'd look into it, make sure it was something that was allowed via our cottage food laws, and if it was, then worked on a recipe, got it, and then started letting people know that, hey, I've got this. So this is a great way to get some engagement also on social media. You are welcome. Anyone have any other questions? I know this is kind of a short live. I kind of went through kind of quick, but I also have to finish prepping for market tomorrow, and that's an early morning. I have to be in line at like 5:45 in the morning, so I need to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Am I seeing Facebook or Instagram but a better platform to post notice? I personally, for me, Facebook is better for me. I'm one of those weird people that really I never got into Instagram. I try to remember to post to Instagram, and I try to keep in mind what the twins say and not do, have it post the same post in Facebook and Instagram. I try to create those separate posts. Sometimes I forget to post to Instagram, so I know I'm bad. Free samples at markets. Yes, I offer free samples. I make sure I have a sample of something that I'm selling at market that day. Like I said, I usually make some type of cookie bar for market, so I'll trim the edges and cut that up. Again, here's my bag of cookie bar pieces. I've done marshmallows, I've cut up cupcakes, I've cut up donuts, and I just put them in little paper cups, like the little Dixie cups, and let people pick what they want. How much product do you bring? That is something that you're just going to kind of learn by experience. I made way too much my first market last year. I had this ginormous box of the cupcakes left over that my husband had to take to work with him, because I was like, I don't want it in the house. It wasn't selling in a flash sale. Then again, that was also Memorial Day weekend. I haven't completely sold out of anything, but I'm starting to learn with each market what my customers are looking for, what's going to do well, what doesn't. I learned at the big market that I'm at, cupcakes, things like that don't do well. Breakfast items do much better, so donuts, cinnamon rolls, and then I've also got the standard cookies and cake. I'm doing cake pops and soft pretzels to kind of get the kids in. And then sales do vary from event to event, and it's going to depend on the weather. My first market for the smaller market was last Sunday, so not last Sunday, the Sunday before, Mother's Day. And it was cold, it was kind of drizzly, and it was really, really windy. So, sales were dismal. There was, no one out. But then the following weekend, I, doubled in sales. So it's going to vary. I know some people say just do a percentage of the foot traffic. And that's what I went based off on my first market, but that just didn't do well for me. So I don't want to sell out right away, because you can't break down and you can't tear down if you sell out. So if I were to sell out in the first hour, I'm there for how many more hours with nothing to do and people walking by and saying, I'm sorry, I've got nothing. Do you sell decorated cookies at the market? If so, do you find certain designs being more popular than others. I do sell decorated cookies at the market. I try to keep them on theme with summer months, or if there's a holiday around. Memorial Day, I really didn't do anything in particular for Memorial Day. This unicorns and dinosaurs always do really well. This coming market tomorrow, I'm doing sunshines and donuts just because that's what I felt like making. If there's a certain design I want to try or certain style I want to try, I usually do that for market. Otherwise, like I said, like 4th of July, I will do some stars and flags. I've done rubber duckies. I've done a whole gamut of things. And I mean, kids, honestly, cookies are cookies to the kids. But yeah, unicorns and dinosaurs were the big ones for last weekend. Is it difficult to prep, store, and keep everything fresh for the event? It takes a lot of planning. I know since like the decorated sugar cookies are going to be heat sealed, I can make those. I usually bake those on Tuesday, and then decorate on Wednesday, have those heat sealed and everything is good to go. If I've got more going on in the week, I'll start them like on Monday and have them ready to go by like Tuesday, Wednesday, heat sealed, everything good to go. And then I plan how long things stay fresh for. So like my soft pretzels and my cinnamon rolls and my bread, I made today. So it's all fresh for tomorrow. Otherwise, drop cookies usually stay really fresh. Cookie bars I do on Thursdays because they'll still stay pretty fresh. So yeah, it takes a lot of prep. I don't have a lot of storage. If you can see my kitchen behind me, it's not as bad as it was, but it's kind of small, and we moved houses to get a bigger kitchen, and I've already outgrown it. We've only been here for 2 years. Not sure if I missed this, but do you need special permits to be at markets? No. It depends on, I guess I want to say no, but it depends. It's going to depend on the rules of the market, the city, the county, and the state. I don't need special permits for what I'm selling, but I do need insurance. Both markets I attend, I am required to have liability insurance, and they require copies of it. So I have the flip insurance, and it works fine. I can add them, drop them if as needed. Unicorns and dinosaurs always do well. Yeah, it's good. How did I get into my first market? Did you talk to the host before putting an application? What was the process like for you? Okay, so my first market last year was the Cedar Rapids Farmers Market. That is the big one. It's held on the first and third Saturday of the month. That's the one with over 200 vendors. I went a couple times before I opened my business. I'd gone with my mother-in-law. So I knew kind of the layout. And then I just Googled Cedar Rapids Farmers Market vendor. Cedar Rapids is really good. They have their rule book, their vendor handbook that has all the rules and everything. And I was able to read through that and any requirements they have. So like Cedar Rapids, they have a requirement if you're a baker and it's your first and you haven't sold at market before, you're required to submit samples. But then since this was my second year, I didn't have to. But I know they'd always appreciate it. I did not talk to the host because I was able to go. I had been through the market a couple times. but they always have, Cedar Rapids is really good about having vendor meetings, getting everyone ready to go for market, letting people know what's going on. This one is very detail oriented. The other one, not so much, but again, they're a smaller market. Just a tax permit. So in Iowa, I don't have to have a tax permit because we don't have, I have a tax permit, but I've never had to show it or supply it. They're just, you're on your own for that. And in Iowa, there's no tax on baked goods. What is my advice for someone who is afraid to get started? Jump right in. That's the best advice I can offer, is just jumping right in. I am a severe introvert. I don't like talking to people. But I jumped right in. I was like, I know I'm gonna have to talk to people. I've opened up. I'm doing more things. So just jump right in. And if you go to the market, if you've got like a year-round market that you're wanting to get into, talk to some of the other vendors there, see how they like it, what do they like about it, what don't they like about it, things like that. If it's too late to apply for like the seasonal markets, because like right now it's, I think, a little too late for our local markets. Applications have to be submitted in by March, January, February, and they make their decisions in March, April. So if it's a little late for this year, just go out to the markets and just kind of, do your shopping, but also kind of just keep an eye out and watch and see how things flow, how the vendors are, and things like that. And honestly, if you're really scared, start with a smaller market. I told myself, go big or go home, so go to the big market. And it worked out really well. You're welcome. Any other questions? Well, I'm trying to think of if there's anything else that I missed. Going back to the prepping. So I plan after market on Saturday. I will sit down and go over what went really well, what didn't, and kind of use that to help plan the menu for the next market. So since the Saturday market is the first and third Saturday of the month, I have a little more time to plan. But the smaller market is every single Sunday, so that one's kind of I plan a couple weeks ahead, so that way I'm not going to the store every single weekend, and I have a good idea of what I can let people know what I plan on having the following week if they're looking for something in particular. But I do try to be flexible with what I have, what I'm offering, if I'm getting a consistent request from people. I don't see any other questions coming through right now. So, how did it pop up? Goodness. Let's see. Trying to think. This is going to be interesting for tomorrow, since it's the first one for the big market, but I'm looking forward to it. I know it's going to be hit or miss with it being Memorial Day weekend, but the weather's supposed to be good. So how many markets are you doing a week? So the large market, as I said, is the first and third Saturday of the month, and I am missing the first Saturday in June because I will be on vacation. But then I'm attending all of the rest and then Sundays, every single Sunday is the smaller market. So some weekends I have 2 markets, some weekends I only have 1. And then I also do a guest market for there's a place in Cedar Rapids called Nubo City Market, and they've got all these little shops that are kind of up and coming businesses, and there's a lot of smaller, like, they're just individual stalls for restaurants, and they have a guest market, so it's kind of like a farmer's market vendor show, and I do that once a month, and that's been really good, and that's been great because they're connecting, they help entrepreneurs and things like that, so it's been good for me to get in there and get connected with the individuals that run that shop. So yeah, I know in August I have a market, 2 markets every single weekend in August. I know that for sure. So I'm really looking forward to getting through that, because that is going to be an insanely busy month for me. But yeah, so far so good. We'll see how it goes with having 2 markets in one weekend. It'll be interesting to see how many dozens of so I sell about 2 dozen cinnamon rolls, and then I will sell about a dozen sugar cookies. Usually people see sugar cookies from another vendor before they get to me, so that I've stopped making so many sugar cookies. But then I usually make about 1 batch of everything except for like the cinnamon rolls. Like I said, I'll do 2 dozen of those because those sell really fast. And it'll be interesting to see what changes this year on things. I know I'm going to be in the same general area as last year, and I'm right next to another specialty food vendor, but I don't know who that is yet. So yeah, it's the amount of product you're going to take is, like I said, is going to depend on how busy the market is. It's going to depend on the weather, things like that. Was it difficult to determine your pricing, profit margins, and is it profitable for you? Farmers markets have been profitable for me. And pricing, I just price my product out, and I don't typically do a higher charge for the farmers markets than I do for my, if they were just call me for an order, because being a gluten-free baker, my product's already kind of on the pricier side, just because of the flours that I use and things like that. But I do make sure I use the Cake Cost app to price out my items, and I include, my labor, and then the profit and overhead and all of that's included in there. So, so the pricing, my vendor, like the fees for farmers markets, I know it's about how much it's going to be, so I kind of include that kind of in that overhead when I'm determining the price for markets. But yeah, they've been really profitable. And even if you have a couple of not so profitable days, or you just break even, you may see a return on that investment through an increase in followers on Facebook, an increase, like I said, I've seen an increase in orders, custom orders. I had one person who found me at the farmer's market last year. They're not on Facebook, but they discovered me at the farmer's market, and then they called me for birthday cupcakes, graduation cupcakes, and then their daughter's following me on social media, so then they've started showing up at all the markets, and they're asking, what markets am I going to be at, so they can make sure they get their sweet fix. Do you sell your cinnamon rolls individually or in larger quantities? I do individually and 4-packs. I only have individuals for tomorrow because I forgot to order my 4-pack pans. But normally I do individuals and 4-packs. 4-packs, I usually only have I only do a dozen and split in the 4-packs, so got 3 4-packs, and those go really fast. And then I guess I can let me grab one of my cinnamon rolls. I can show you. So my cinnamon rolls, individual ones, I put in like these little brownie tins that I found on Amazon. I was a little disappointed. I could not find pink ones for the life of me that would get here in time, so we have this Tiffany blue green color. And then my cookie bars, I always put in a box like this with some wax paper. And as you can see, again, pink. I keep everything branded. So everyone knows you've got my bags are pink. So people are asking, where'd you get that pink bag? You can say they got it from me. Are your 4-packs aluminum? Yes, my 4-packs are in the aluminum trays. But I also have craft boxes, packaging that I put the 4-packs in to make it look nicer, rather than just that silver tin. Because packaging, I know the packaging isn't what brings people in, but I at least want people to have nice packaging. It makes me feel better about my product. Does your state require ingredient list labels? If so, do you use a website or print at home? I print at home. Yes, they do. That was a change this year when Iowa changed its law. It used to be you just had to put the name of the food, who prepared it, and a way to contact you, and then the statement that this was prepared in a home, not inspected by the state. But with the changes in the law this year, they are now requiring ingredient labels. So I print at home. I have the Munbin thermal printer, and I just do round pink labels, and everything fits in there. I mean, it's kind of small, but I mean, it's the same thing at the grocery store. You got to squint to see it. So one thing for market, the Cedar Rapids market this year, or not just this year, they do this thing called Mug Club, and I didn't realize. I thought it was just for any vendors that had drinks, but apparently anybody can participate. So if a customer who attends the market a lot becomes a member of the Mug Club, they get this special travel cup or whatever. But if they've got that, then vendors can offer a special pricing or something special just for them. I didn't take advantage of it this year, but it is an idea for next year. So if market does something like that, I would definitely jump in on that, because they'll include you in any advertising. And then someone just posted, and I think it was in the Cookie College, about something that I think is going to be really, really good for market. So I'm going to have to keep that in mind. I've already got my wheels turning I'm constantly changing things on my market setup and what I include and what I take away. So, but also just make your booth yours. Do what feels good to you, and don't stress about making food. I stressed myself out way too much last year trying to make sure I had everything done, had all this stuff, and I was like, you know what, this year just going with the flow. If I don't get something done, I don't get something done. As long as I've got some things done, something to provide at market, that's all that matters. Man, don't stress about it, and just enjoy. They're so much fun. And for me, like I said, I work from home for my full-time job too, so I never leave the house. So it's a great way for me to get out of the house and interact with people. Otherwise, it's just my husband, the dog, and the cat, and that's it. So I need to see people. Any other questions? Comments? Because I can't think of anything else, and I can't believe I've talked for 45 minutes already. I'll give it a couple. I know there's a delay on the comments. I was going to try to pull it up on my phone, but I'm not that tech savvy, even though I'm only in my 30s. So yeah, we'll give it a couple more minutes. Not a couple more minutes. You know, there's just to see if there's a delay on comments coming through, but, and again, feel free to message me. Send me a DM if you've got questions about markets, or comment on here afterwards. And if I forgot to say at the beginning, if you're watching the replay, type replay. So if you got to the end and you're watching the replay, type replay in the comments. You're welcome, Jennifer. If there's no other questions, I will say goodnight so I can finish prepping for market tomorrow. And if you want, I can share some pictures of my setup tomorrow. I think someone asked, but I missed the answer. How do you decide on how much to bring of each item? That, again, that is going to be, you're going to learn from experience. I went based off of, you know, making so much, a percentage of the foot traffic that they were expecting, and that was way too much food. I had like this ginormous box of cupcakes, cookies. I was so sad when it was over because I had all of this food left over. I was like, I don't need all of this because I'm on a diet. Same with the husband. So we had to send it to his work, and I'm like, you know. So they get excited when they know I'm doing farmers markets because that usually means they've got something coming in that Monday. But yeah, that's experience is really all. I would just say start off small, because I mean, me personally, I would rather run out than not have enough, or than have too much. But like I said, I make about one batch of one recipe. I don't double the recipes for anything except for my cinnamon rolls. And that usually seems to work out really well. I also bring, if I got a custom order for something that I know, like I just had a custom order for gluten-free and dairy-free cupcakes, and my recipe makes 24. They only wanted a dozen, so the other dozen are coming to market with me. Do you do your booth alone, or do you have anyone help you? Last year, my in-laws helped me quite a bit, especially the first couple, because I was new and I was also experiencing some personal issues. The first market, I had a miscarriage the day before market, so that was a rough one. But my in-laws were there to help me with that. But as of right now, I'm going to be by myself tomorrow. The one on Sundays I do with my husband. He's a mail carrier, so Sundays are the only days that he consistently has off, and he has a side business himself. So we have a booth together. So we help each other with that. And then sometimes my mom, she lives about an hour away. Sometimes she'll drive down to help me if I think I'm going to need the help. But I've gotten pretty self-sufficient on doing it on my own, you know. And I just, you know, my concern is, you know, running to the bathroom. But just get to know your neighbor and have them watch it for you, and you're all set. But yes, I will send pictures, post pictures of my setup tomorrow and talk about how it went. Another thing I do when I get to market is I always take pictures of where I'm at, my setup, and every once in a while I will go live if I've got the time from setup to when market starts, because I need to be ready to go as soon as the bell rings. So, all right, nothing else. Thank you for taking time out of your Friday night to listen to me ramble, and I hope everyone has a good night. Again, if you've got questions, feel free to DM me. Another question: how do you put the tent up by yourself? That is always my hang up for markets. So it takes a minute, but it's one of those, like, I just run around to every single corner and just work on pulling it out, and once I get it out so far, then I pop up the top part. That kind of helps keep it in place, and then I just go from there. And I honestly, once I got my tent, I took it out in my backyard and I practiced putting it up and putting it down, because I didn't know who would be available to help me with market, so I wanted to be able to make sure I could do it myself. So yeah, I can let people know where I can share a screenshot of the pink tent that I have, and nothing else. I keep saying nothing else, and then I just keep seeing questions, so I am going to call it a night for this, because like I said, I have to finish getting ready for tomorrow. I am pretty far along, farther than I have been in the past because of this live, so I'm glad I did this because it got my butt in gear, so I'm not up till midnight, 1 in the morning. So I will make sure to post pictures, share how tomorrow went, and answer any follow-up questions that anybody has. Thank you, and thank you for the well wishes for this weekend. Looking forward to it. So, all right. Thanks, everyone. Bye.